So I just finished Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, and I wanted to give my thoughts. I wanted to rant and rave about this uh, horrid ending to a game that I've been waiting for so long. Now you probably say waiting for this game been out since 2020, which is crazy to think so. I know I bought it when it first came out. I was one of the poor saps that pre-ordered the game off of YouTubers lying in and saying the game is actually not that bad when it works when the game didn't work to begin with. But we're not gonna get into that, okay? We're gonna get into the DLC that came out, right? So it's kind of like is this game worth playing now in 2024, 2025, right? And I'm gonna say it no. I say this with 100 hours into the game. If you like the cyberpunk aesthetic, you would probably enjoy it. But I'm one of the people that, just to cut to the chase, the ending is what puts everything together, okay? The ending is what makes it satisfying. If the ending is lackluster, then you're gonna look back on the rest of the journey like, I didn't really enjoy it as much. And I will say this, by the way, this is full spoiler for some of the endings in Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. This game is filled with, like, I think 7 different endings, and only one is decent. And when I say decent, it's acceptable. All the other ones are just so ass. It's like, it is so like depressing, and it's not like I get it. The theme of the game is like, oh, Night City, Cyberpunk 2077 is the depressing dystopia in a future aesthetic. I get that. I'm not saying it like, oh, you can't write depressing stories. One of my favorite games of all time is Red Dead Redemption 2. That game does it better, 10 times better than this game did. The story of your main character is dying and he's trying his best to fight against that, or you're making these new connections with knowing that you're dying in the back of your mind. I understand it because Red Dead did it better. And instead of it being like, but they tease you because your purpose is to find this cure because you're dying, right? Because of the relic in your head. So you're dying and you're trying to figure out, hey, I can fix this and continue my life with these people I meet that you build connections with, like Panam and Judy and all these different characters, stuff like that you become bonded with and stuff like that. It makes sense, right? And so when the original game came out and I played it, I got the Panam ending because all the endings really sucked, if you're being honest with us. And it was like, okay, that was alright. But the way that CD Projekt Red is, where it takes like damn near 10 years to make a new game, I don't really know if I'm really going to sit around and wait for a sequel to figure out what happens, right? And all the other endings at least will be like, oh, V survived, but you actually only have 6 months to live, so that's pretty much it. And you kind of left with like, bro, what's the point of me doing all this, trying to survive, if you're only going to tell me, yeah, we just gave you 6 extra months. Like, what are we doing here, right? So, they had a new expansion, they had a new DLC with Idris Elba, right? And it was going to be like, okay, this is another part, they're going to add a new part of the island on the map, new missions, a new story or whatever, and it's hinged on the fact that, hey, we have someone in high authority that can help you and cure you, alright? You just need, and the big premise of this is like, the intro mission is, hey, I have the power to help you, and like the introduction when you meet the character Songbird or whatever, she helps you get through like your relic attack and stuff like that, you know what I mean, that you experience throughout the game and stuff. And it's like, whoa, you're pretty powerful. Like, you even can see like Johnny Silverhand and stuff like that. So it's like, you're pretty powerful. And your mission is to save the president of the United States. This is like, it's a grandiose mission that starts off with like, whoa, okay, I see what you're cooking with gas now. This makes sense. Okay, I'm into it. I'm hooked in. I was hooked into this game DLC for like, I would say 85%. It's the last like, I would say 15%, I would say, yeah, 15% that really was like, okay, I don't like this game anymore. I don't like this DLC. I don't want to play this ending because of it. And you go through so much, and I'm gonna get to the ending. But so it builds up, and it's like this new big bad that's running Dogtown. He's like he has like a military group that like is like, taking over Dogtown, and basically you have to find out how like he was trying to assassinate the president. Stuff unravels this and that third, right? And so you have a decision where you can either go with Idris Elba or you can go with Songbird, because Songbird is also dying and she needs your help, right? A pivotal point of the DLC. And so if you pick Idris Elba, Reed or whatever, it kind of delves into this whole other side of, okay, you have to hunt down Songbird, and you need to like, cause she gets like corrupted and some shit like that, right? And you also build up this big bad and handsome, where it's like he's smarter, he's a badass, he's a military dude, and like no one can touch him because like if they tried, they end up dead type stuff. So you have like these heist missions where like you're a secret agent, and it's like this premise is sick. This is fire. It's like, okay, we're building up to take this man down and to free Songbird and stuff like that, right? And so it's this great build up where you're in like it's a casino party type thing where you're trying to blend in, and it's like, oh, you're playing like poker with like these targets that you have to, you know, get their information so you can steal their identities. It's like stuff like that. And then you have like Reed, who's acting kind of weird where you think he's like a bad guy, but like I wouldn't say a bad guy, like he's acting fishy where it's like something's up with Reed, or like should you trust him? And he's just like and then you have Johnny Silverhand yapping in your ear talking about don't trust anyone from the government, that's not a third. So it's like it adds these different levels where it's like I want to see where the story is going. And it had a great build up until the decision, right? And so the decision, once again, this is a full spoiler for the decision. If you help Songbird, right? It's crazy because you have this other secret agent who's helping you try to free Songbird, because Songbird is captured by Henson, the big bad guy of the DLC. And so Alex is your partner in the final heist, where you go and you pretend to be these net runners that are trying to sell this code to Henson, because that's what he wants to take over this grandiose MacGuffin that can basically control the internet and take over the world type shit. You know what I mean? And so you're pretending to be that, and at the last second when Songbird's showing you the device and stuff like that, you can side with Reed, which will betray Songbird, which is basically like, and then, or you can side with Songbird and she like destroys the stadium and y'all escaping the chaos, right? So if you pick Songbird's ending, Alex, who's in the booth with Henson, goes crazy. I think she has like a combat chip. She fuck Henson's up, zips around, starts killing everybody, and then she realized, oh, Songbird and you're trying to escape or whatever, and then you escape and you get chased by the FBI. You know what I mean? After you escape, you know, they try to, you know, that whole side tangent. If you Scott would Reed, then Songbird lets Henson know something's up. Henson just straight up kills Alex, and that's the person he was with. And it's like, yo, so it's like the stakes are getting higher. And I mean, I was pretty mad, but it's like, damn, like one ending she just fucks him up easily. This one she can't do anything, and she's like, she needs help to take him down. You know, it's just crazy. But I was okay with it. This is the part where it's like, okay, we're getting there. This is fire. Turns out, Songbird loses her fucking mind. She starts like powering up on some Dragon Ball Z shit. You know what I mean? She's destroying people, walking through, got this red electricity going over. I'm like, oh, this is fire. I'm here for it. Going through the stadium, seeing the destruction and the dead bodies, because in the stadium it was like a hub for like stores and stuff like that you could visit when you first get the dog taste, see all these people there and stuff like that, where it's like a basically like this booming place or whatever. You go through it now, it's like just destruction and man, it's like, oh, this is fire. I like the aesthetic here, right? And so you build up, you kill, you fight Henson, and Henson has this, it's like this decent this battle where I was running like a net runner build, where it's like I like hacking people and like making them like collapse and stuff like that, or make them do things they didn't want to do, or make grenades go off. I think it was amazing, right? So you beat Henson, you know what I mean, you put him in the dirt, you know what I mean, for Alex, you know. And so it builds up where you have to find Songbird, right? And it goes to this big old thing where like she's taken by the police. You have to break her out, and then she escapes, and then she goes to like this bunker area, right? And this is the part where I didn't like it went from like this action RPG cyberpunk aesthetic to Alien Isolation, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it one bit. I actually detest this entire movie, because it's like you at this point in the DLC, you fighting giant tanks, a group of like super soldiers, whatever, all these gigantic things you have fought and faced. This tiny little robot is all of a sudden is an insta kill. Are you serious? That's what angered me. And it's like it's a prolonged stealth mission. So if your character isn't built for stealth, like mine was kind of into stealth, so it was pretty decent. But it's like if your character was not built for stealth, I know this section is hell for you, because it was ridiculous for me. I rage quit because it's like you get stuck in this tiny room with this robot that just automatically knows where you are and just insta kills you no matter what. And you can run from it because it's faster than you. And sometimes they do a thing where like the robot is connected to the internet, so it'll like close doors when you unlock it. In order to open it, you have to pry it open, which if you pry it open with the robot behind you, you're just dead. It's over. You're cooked. So that pissed me off, right? But I stuck through it because I wanted to see the end. I wanted to see what was happening, right? Because Songbird was spazzing out. So you get through the ending, and then you have this choice of like Songbird's like she's like broken, she's battered, she wants V to like end it for her or whatever, and you could choose to do that or choose not to do it. But the big caveat is she has this device that can cure you, and the whole premise of the game is to cure you. I'm giving this background story just so you could get the building and the feelings I was going through this entire DLC. So you finally you get the choice, right? And I was kind of on the side of like, no, I'm not gonna end her because Reed promised to help her. And I mean, it was a big thing. It was like, oh, we're gonna get her help. She's obviously broken because she's hooked onto the internet or whatever. So we're gonna get her help. Then we're gonna help both of y'all and cure both of y'all, right? And so I spared her, right? And so ever since you spare her, it's kind of like the story. The game gives you like this. You should have really ended it. It's like, oh, did we do the right thing? Like, they hit you with that like 5 times. Like, jeez, like, did I? Like, what are you talking about here? It's not like where the lines are gray. It's like, I guess, like, I have a goal that I want to meet. Like, I'm sorry for her, but at the end of the day, I'm dying here still. Like, what are we doing here? You can't just build. It's like saying the entire build of Red Dead Redemption 2 was like, oh, we need to build up to cure Arthur, and at the end there's a choice to cure Arthur or like kill Dutch. It's like, well, why would I kill Dutch? The whole thing is to cure me. Like, I'm not like, yes, that would be a problem to be handled later, but I'm here to cure myself. You know what I mean? But anyway. So they do this thing where it's like, you know, the song would cool down or whatever. So they get to the ending. The ending is they retrieve the Matrix, the MacGuffin that Songbird had to like cure you or whatever. And you have it where you're finna be prepped for surgery. And so you're sitting there at the end where they have the end of every Cyberpunk ending where you sit in the chair and you talk to Johnny Silverhand and you have options for endings, basically. But instead of, if you just did the DLC, like if you got to the point of the story and you just blitzed through DLC like I did, not blitzed through it because I did a bunch of side missions and stuff like that, that would be your only option because you're not done with the main story yet. And Johnny Silverhand is kind of like begging you, like, oh, let's do something else. I don't like this, and the third, right? And so at this point, it was like, oh no, I got to the DLC. I've been playing this for like, 15 hours, 15, 20 hours. I'm going to, because I made a new character, got to the story, all that stuff. I'm going to get the new experience. I haven't played this game in 4 years, right? So I want to get the new experience or whatever. I played through the entire game, and DLC, and got to the ending part. So that was the ending that was available. So I did the ending. And so basically, you get the so you have options of like, hey, this is the last, there's no return type beat. You need to make your calls and call the people you care about now. Let them know, like, yo, you're gonna go to surgery, and it's gonna be like a month or 2 before you get back, right? And so the thing that it immediately like rubbed me the wrong way is the text messages. So like you build these bonds with certain people. Obviously, mine was like a lot fewer because I didn't go do the main missions for certain characters where you had to build like a bond or whatever. I pretty much got to Pan Am, and I think Victor is like the default if you didn't like romance Pan Am or anyone or whatever. So you choose, like, you text these people, and it's like a simple like, oh hey, I'm leaving, I'll be back. What? That's like you say, I'm going to the grocery store, I'll just be back. It's like, what is it? Like, oh, like you tell Victor like, oh, it's a medical vacation, you know what I mean? I'll be back in a month. Like, you don't give any context, and it's like, especially when one of your love interests, and this is after I already romanced Pan Am. Like, we're an item. They added new missions where you go on dates and stuff like that. It's not where it's like, oh, you're not romancing them enough to get that point where they communicate. No, I did the full extent of the Pan Am storyline. All right, to the point where only thing left is the ending, right? Which is the best ending here. But even that ending is just leaves on a somber note because it's like you don't like it's whatever. I digress. So you text Pan Am and it's like, hey, I'm leaving Night City. I'll be back. And it's like, oh, that's it? Even though the character is literally built on, hey, I have problems with my affection and emotions. Like, I don't want to be played with. I don't want someone up and disappearing out of my life. Like, I'm with you until the end, this and the third. Like, she's a ride or die type chick or whatever, right? And the best you can do is give her 2 text messages with like, hey, I'll be back in a month. Yeah, I'll tell you when I get back. Like, you had ample opportunity to text and be like, hey, or you could have called easily when you knew you was gonna make the decision. Like, honestly, like when you're doing a video game, it's like, oh, when you get to that, there's an option to back out. But like, if the person chose to like go through with it, it should be an option to call the characters. Like, it's like, I don't know if it's like they didn't want to do a voice acting. If you didn't want to do the voice acting, if you want to save money on that, whatever, at least have a lengthy text. So what they be texting before, they be texting whole novels in a millisecond. There's no way you could tell me that he was not unable to text before the plane got here to pick him up. Like, what are we doing here? This is so stupid, right? So you text your girlfriend, the love of your life at this point, hey, I'll be back. I'm leaving the city. I'll be back. Right? And so you leave and you take the surgery, right? And so when you wake up to see and read Idris Elba. And he's looking at you and he has that look on his face and he's like telling you like, hey, the surgery was a success, but 2 things, brother. 1, you can't use any implants because your body's fucked up. Basically, you're a normal human being. You can't do anything that's cybernetic or whatever because if you do, you're going to die, right? And 2, instead of it being 2 months, it been 2 years, brother. That's basically what it been. And you're like, what? And so obviously you can choose how you want to freak out or whatever. And I was like, okay, 2 years is better than 20, right? I like to take the positive route. But even still, right? There are so many things that could have been, and at this point in the story, it could have been an option where like, oh, if you had, cause you lose everything. It's like, the ending sucks because it's like a super somber ending where it's like, oh yeah, you got out of a coma, like your life is saved, but you lost everything. Like, it's like, oh, this is like a pointless ending. It's like, what is the point of even doing this ending? What is the point of even doing most of the endings are either you die, there's no hope for you, they give you false hope, or you actually do live, which in this one, but you lose everything. What is the point of this? Like, it's literally like, it's not even like depressing good. It's not even more like, once again, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's this buildup, this grand finale of like, hey, it all comes down to this. It's the outlaws are breaking up, the gang is breaking up, Arthur is dying, and he has his one last wish is to get John Marston out of there and his family, because that's what it builds, like you care about this them or whatever, you know, he's like your little brother or whatever, right? And he knows the writings on the walls. He's trying to get his affairs in order type thing. It's like this inevitability. It's not like that. Cyberpunk 2077 is just false hope the entire game. Like, hey, we're going to tease you. It's like you've been in the desert for weeks, right? And once you're in the desert nonstop, and they constantly tease like, hey, there's a little bit of water. Don't worry, when you get here, I'll have water. I'll have water once you get here. And every place you go, they're like, damn, water just ran out. I was like, are you serious? Like, what is the point? Why am I getting my hopes high? This isn't a fun experience, especially when you do all this BS of different corporations, people just dicking you around the entire game just for you to not to get your reward at the end. It's like, I feel like I've been wasting my time. And yes, the gameplay and the world, the atmosphere, the aesthetic, everything is beautiful, but it's like the linchpin is the story. Me personally, it might be different. Y'all can disagree with me in the comments or whatever, but the linchpin to every video game that is like this type of thing where it's like a RPG is the story for me, because like, yes, the gameplay is okay at best because it's still glitchy and buggy, which it's like, I don't know how many updates. This game will never be what it was advertised, of course, but it's still like stuff doesn't pop in. I had to constantly reload missions because the character that I needed to talk to didn't appear or didn't want to talk to me. It was faded out some parts. Characters didn't load out. I was looking at clay figures, or after missions where you have to wait. Nothing will pop in. Like after the grand DLC, it was just emptiness. It was like no sound. I don't know what that was about. And this is a PC that is not like, it is. I have like I think a 30 series graphics card. I have a 30 series graphics card. There is no way that it should be having this many issues on PC. It's ridiculous, right? So you already have that going on for it, and the gameplay is better. It's improved from what it was when it first came out. Because when it first came out, it was all right, but it felt like it was stuff missing, obviously. But this one is like, this has a lot more meat on the bone, but there's still issues with like sound issues, where like you'll be shooting someone with a gun, there'll be no sound. You'll be driving down the race, there'll be no sound, and it'll just be weird and awkward, right? Especially when you do like drive-bys, or like when you're in like the racing and stuff like that. There's no sound when you shoot your weapons and stuff like that. It's weird. It's like they added a bunch of stuff, but the core foundation is still muddy and rocky, where it's like, I like what you added, but it's still a problem. And it's just, I feel like incredibly disappointed with this DLC, so I just want to get on here and rant. I'll be honest with you. There's no coherent like plan here. I didn't have anything right now. I literally just finished DLC at 5:24 in the morning. December 6th. I was playing Marvel Rivals earlier. I raged. I couldn't sleep. I was like, man, let me finish the DLC. I spent money for it, right? And what I say is this DLC recommended if you like the aesthetic of Cyberpunk 2077. I say when it's on sale, not for now when it's $30. Fuck no. But if you never experienced Cyberpunk 2077 and you want to try it for the first time, I say get it now because you get the game and DLC for $30. That's more of a decent deal than just the DLC for $30 since I already had the game. But I am incredibly disappointed, and I get what they was going for with the there is no good endings in Cyberpunk, but it's like you didn't even work for half these endings. Like half these endings just feel like a slap in the face of like you wasted your time here, especially when the ending is also like, okay, after the 2 years, I'm going back to the ending a little bit I did a shit ton of missions. I got my character up to I think level 40 or something like that. I forgot the exact level. You do these side missions where like, you're helping Claire with a street race, and like, she's poured her heart out to you that her husband died in the race, you have to get a revenge and stuff like that. You do these different side missions, right? You experience all these different characters, right? And only 2 characters you could talk to at the end of the game. And it's like, I get that you don't want to voice act them, but you could have had something where you could have communicated to these people. Especially when you have these long, drawn-out side missions. Like, when you're helping the Fixer in the DLC, Mr. Hands, you do all this work for him, you give him all this position about, you do everything he asks you and more to help him succeed. And when you come back from the dead 2 years later, it's like, yo, you don't even exist to these people. Rogue tells you, hey, I know you survived, but don't come near the bar because everyone thinks you're dead and kind of ruins the aesthetic. It's like, what are we doing here? It's like, oh, you succeeded, but like everyone doesn't want to be with you. Like, please get out of my sight. I don't want to help you. Like, you helped Judy through her whole thing where you revenge her friend's death and stuff like that. But when you come back from the dead, she's like, yeah, I'm married. Please don't talk to me anymore. It's like, what the fuck? Or you don't hear from Pan Am because she's out of state. But in the post-credit scene, the credit scene, Mitch, the people from her camp, is like, yeah, I saw that you try to call Pan Am, but just don't call her again because she's like, she's basically over you at this point, and it's like it's hard to, get attached to someone and they leave for 2 years and they come back. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck you. Like, this whole thing could have been avoided if you just had the characters communicate. It's so annoying. And speaking of the ending, so the ending is you drive back in town. No one wants to help you except Vic, which is your Ripper Duck from the beginning of the game. And so you get there, you find out he's sold out to the man. He's going full corporate or whatever. Everything that he was against, or you know what I mean. And so you get kicked out because, his corporate people come and it's like, yo, you got to leave, this and the third, right? Very depressing. Down on your luck, literally. Down in the dumps, literally. Misty, Jackie's girlfriend from the beginning, comes by and they patch it up, which is like a nice heartfelt moment or whatever. And then it gets to the ending where Misty's ride shows up and she's leaving Night City. And you're like, it's kind of like this kind of somber moment where it's like, oh, he's just becoming a normal person. Like, he doesn't have any technology and stuff like that. And so he kind of just wanders into the crowd and disappears and it hits the credits. Where my character is butt naked. I had clothes on. It's stuff like that where it's like, why am I looking at my character's ass cheeks at the end of the credits of the game? Like, what are we doing here? What is this? It is a buggy, broken mess. And it's like, years later, it still isn't fixed to the capacity that people wanted it to be. Yes, they did better. It is I will say this time and time again. It is way better than what it was at launch. At launch, the Delamain mission where like the taxi driver cars was taking over a mind of his own. Literally, when I got in the car, my car just exploded and the mission started. I never saw a car. I never knew that's how the mission started until I saw it on YouTube. That's how it's supposed to start because it worked for them and not for my PC. That's how bad it was. Missions just like happen, things didn't pop in, and your character is just messed up. I get it, but if you get through all the bullshit and the muggy and the slop and the different technical issues, the ending still isn't good. So it's like, what are we doing this for? And so it left me with a sour taste in my mouth. It left me upset. We're like, I shouldn't have wasted my money on the DLC. And it is not even like to the fault of like, they did everything that you want in a DLC, but it's just the ending taste. It's like a nasty taste in your mouth. It's like, you get Wagyu steak, you get beef Wellington, you get what is it? You get the best salad in the world, and the dessert is a pile of shit on a plate. And it's like, damn, like, what do we like? I'm not gonna recommend your restaurant. I don't give a fuck how good the Wagyu was. I'm not recommending restaurant based off the dessert. Like, what? But those are my thoughts. Let me know down below what y'all think. Do you want longer form content? Do you want me to talk about other games? I'll be in the comments down below, and I'm out. Peace.